inputs selected. It might be that, you know. If you want to, we could really quick try and see if, just try and figure out which input is the one that's got my audio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I took one off, and then the other one is still on, so it must have been that one, I guess.
Oh, okay. You've already done it. Okay.
Unless I can. Do you think I turn off the top one?
I don't know.
Oh, you can't see it. You can't see it anymore. I can get my little brother to come on and just like talk to me while he watches TV, and I'll try to figure it out.
All right.
Yeah, I'll text Ethan or Brian.
Yeah, you should let them know. I don't know if they work early or not, but they might be getting tired.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I think it's going to be a big audio file.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's already up to a megabyte. All right. What do we got? What do we got? We got a Samish, King's Indian, Samish. According to chess.com, the Bobot-Sov Korchnoi Petrosian variation. That's easy to remember.
You didn't know that?
It's just going to be the Samish Petrosian variation for me from now on.
Yeah.
Good grief.
You can drop that at the chess club next time. Everybody would be afraid to play you.
That guy knows a lot of words.
All those Russian names and stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if they know the theory. So, like in the Samish, white does like crazy stuff, and black does crazy stuff on the queen side, and like white has to play really aggressive on the queen side. Try and get in that c5, and I think black even does crazy stuff like try and get in b5, but it looks like we're going a different direction. So Brian's gone with g4. Just going for a king side attack, just rawr. All right, so this is pretty straightforward. We're going to push the h pawn, queen d2, queen side castle for white, and get the bishop out of the way, and we'll double rooks, and we'll checkmate black. We have a plan. And black, oh, yeah. So we didn't play the crazy new line for the older new line for the Samish. So we have to take on f5. Have to. This is really weird how they've both played this. Well, how white's definitely played this. Normally, you're not like trying to push on the king side as white. I don't know, like bishop g5, and then if f4, maybe we play knight h5. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
If what now?
If white plays bishop g5, f4, then maybe white can consider knight h5.
Oh. Oh, and then
it doesn't look too bad.
Then he can get into f6. Is that the idea?
Well, just kind of controlling black's pieces.
Okay.
And then we slide the rook to g1, bump the queen up, castle. We'd really like to get that bishop to h3 and try and trade it off for black's bishop, but that's kind of hard to do. So he likes the idea, bishop g5, and then if f4, I think knight h5 is kind of interesting. It's a little weird because the piece is like just stranded there, like, but it's also really uncomfortable for black. So it's interesting. This is definitely a plus for white, though. Yeah, I think we just go for it. So if f4, knight h5, probably queen e2. queenside castle, and then we try and get our rooks to the G file and just rawr chess, checkmate them. So f4 is probably not great. But man, I don't know. That bishop is really good on g5. Do we have to play bishop f6? Do we have to try and contest? Probably. I mean, that's a good bishop. That pin is really uncomfortable against the knight on e7.
Does that make it kind of windy on the king if you move the bishop? I guess the knight has to go to g6.
Absolutely. I mean, this position is not great for black. The way we push the king side like all that, it's like the normal plan, but it's not. It wasn't the right idea for this. Like the way people usually play this, the Samish on the black side is they're usually pushing their queen side pawns and contesting that space early. And Ethan didn't do any of that. Get out of here, bishop. It's like we just play bishop h4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still like this idea. Bishop h4, knight h5, rook g1. Then we move the queen over and pressure city. So bishop h4. Maybe black has to play like knight f6. Yeah, giving away the dark square. I mean, it's not a great piece right now, but it's also a really good defensive piece. So, but I think black has an idea of rook f7 at some point. It's probably knight f6, rook f7. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to untangle without pushing those queenside pawns for black. And so knight takes. Okay, I thought pawn takes was reasonable. Because now, if we really want to, as black, we can play bishop f5. Ugh, this is uncomfortable for black. Like, try and find a good move. Like, you have to give up your bishop pair. Bishop f5 is doing that. Rook f4. Trying to force things. Okay. Okay, I like that. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. That's way better. So now we have to trade the bishop for the knight on e7. And that helps black get untangled. And the pawn on f3, I don't know. I mean, it was nice to get the knight to e4, but the pawn on f3 is a target for sure. I definitely think that the capture on e4 with the knight was a mistake. I think we should have took with f3, and then we would have had queen h5 as a possibility to defend the bishop. Instead, we had to trade it down, and still better for white, but it's not like it was. Man, that was just so weird how that all played out. They just exploded it. They didn't want any closed game. They must have been feeling a little bit like you.
Yeah. So is that this isn't the book? You don't know for sure?
I mean, G4 I don't think is book, but Brian played it pretty quickly. I don't play the Samish. I don't play that stuff, so I don't necessarily know, but it's a little slower now. Yeah, we would have preferred that pawn be on e4. We would have preferred keeping that bishop on h4, keeping that bind, you know. Now white's having to defend f3. Ugh. We just don't have like a really clear plan now as white. Huh. I mean, we're still going to try and get a rook on the G file, but our pieces are kind of clumped up and useless now. I think I preferred queen d3. Yeah, I preferred queen d3. I don't even know if white's better now. Is white? What's your eval say?
It looks even.
It's even.
.06 for Ethan.
0.06.
Yeah.
So black has an itty bitty edge. A sliver of daylight. So, I mean, black's idea is pretty simple. We try and trade on the center pawn. Bishop to probably d7, and then slide the rook over to c8. And we kind of just attack on both sides of the board. And white's kind of just sitting there now. What happened? I thought white was crushing. It's amazing how quickly that changes. All right, pawn or rook, pawn or rook. Probably pawn, right? Like rook would be nice to put pressure on the d pawn, but
Bishop.
then the bishop can get to e6, and that kind of sucks. So pawn. Yeah, I think the plan's pretty straightforward now. It's bishop d7, rook c8. I don't know. Maybe even bishop f5. Rook c8. Okay, he went that way. The reason I was thinking maybe bishop f5 is maybe I could swing my queen over to c7. But rook c8, we can try a6 for black. And then, bishop b5, threaten that. It's not terrible. I mean, the one plus for white is his rooks are connected. Black's rooks are absolutely not. They're distant cousins at this point.
Yeah.
I think the guys were still filling the blitz from last round. They played all their opening moves so fast,
Yeah.
Now we're at move 20 and we still have 23 minutes left. Maybe we'll get one long, complicated endgame in this one. We can only hope. Yeah, I think I preferred bishop f5. Now it's a little bit slower trying to get all our pieces coordinated for black. And white's just going to move his rook to the c file. Rook c8 doesn't necessarily do a lot. Maybe we just play like b5 or something for black. It's so hard to get black's forces coordinated. I think we have to play a bunch of slow moves. There's a downside to a lot of them. Like if we play, what's that?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like if we play queen e7, knight h5 is kind of annoying. We can drop the rook back, but we're still hitting the bishop on g7. Maybe we take it, maybe we don't. It's just kind of annoying. But we kind of want to get the queen over to the queen side because we're not winning f3, even though it's weak and just kind of sitting there. We're not winning it right now. But we can't move our knight from e8. We'd like to play knight f6, but then the d pawn hangs. Yeah, it's hard to move as black. I challenge you. I mean, rook c8 is like the only obvious move, but it doesn't do anything. Like, we can't add any fuel to the fire. It just rook c8, then rook c1, and we trade rooks probably. That would help white out. So rook c8 doesn't look right. I'm thinking a move like b5. Or possibly slow rolling a6, then b5. But it's, I don't know. Just taking some space, I guess. We can't really do much as black. Well, now we definitely can't play queen to e7 as black. Just play h4. Yeah, just play h4 and then try and get in a bishop h3.
Computer like that for Brian. The pawn move, h5.
Yeah. Well, should. It's weakening black's position. Yeah, I like h4, and then actually maybe trying to move our queen is white to maybe c4 and b4, poke at some pawns. This is a hard position for black. Is knight g5 any good? What if we just ignore it? I like ignoring things. We just ignore it. Rawr. It can't be good to open up the position in front of black's king anymore. So now we just want to bring a rook to g1 and win easily. That's what we want. I think we have to trade bishops. Taking the H pawn, it's not so good. Yeah, we have to trade bishop. So bishop takes an H3, rook takes on H3. And then if we try rook takes on H4, maybe we just double rooks, or maybe even we swing the queen across. Probably just double rooks, and then if a rook trade, then we're still attacking h5. That's uncomfortable. We have to play like, oh, yeah, I think we just drop a pawn then, so. So bishop takes, rook takes. We can't really take on h4.
That's why I was trying to figure out what happens if you take on h4. Bishop takes, I guess, and then...
Yeah, bishop takes on d7.
And you take the knight.
Take the knight.
Would it be bishop?
Try and insert a little... I don't know. I mean, you could swing the other rook over to g1 and just pin it to the king.
Oh, okay.
Actually, you can't do that because after bishop takes on d7, bishop e6 wins the queen. So all of that was all out. Rook takes, and then, yeah, we don't really want to take on h4 because it just opens up things in front of our king, and that can't be good. We want that pawn to stay there. So if we don't take on h4, rook c8 isn't too bad now that white's rooks are split, because rook c1 for white is not so great to challenge a rook on c8. So rook c8 is probably not too bad here.
And then black gets the d5 pawn, I guess. It's red rooks.
Yeah, rook c8, I don't think we can play rook c1. I don't think we get enough for that. I don't know if we want to try. Oh. It can be annoying. Like rook c8, rook c1, takes, king takes, queen takes on d5, knight takes on h5. That's definitely annoying. Then we have to move our rook from f4 to f5, and oh, it's uncomfortable. So yeah, well, maybe we can do it as white. Rook c8, rook c1. Maybe it's possible. So if rook c8 is not great, maybe we do have to go with the old standby a6, b5, and just roll those pawns. At least the way is open for the queen to swing to the queen side for black now. So we could try and drum up some pressure that way. This bishop on f6 is just so awkward. And then the knight on e8, it's so awkward.
You have to get the bishop out before you can move the knight, right? Or I guess the queen and rook can hold it.
We have to do something. We have to do something we really don't want to do. Like bishop e7. We don't really want to do that because it blocks our queen from getting to the queen side. And if we move the bishop the other way, then we can't move the knight. The knight has to stay where it is on e8. So it's kind of stuck. I mean, both sides' minor pieces are kind of stuck where they are. They want to keep their positions. I think for black, a6, b5, and then try and coordinate the rook on a8 with the queen. You know, bringing the queen across to like b7 or something, and just try and pawn storm. It shouldn't do much because it's just going to be the queen and rook with some pawns, and white has his queen and rook right there along with the knight and some pawns, so it shouldn't amount to much, but it's kind of the only idea right now. Play a move, Ethan. Jeez.
If they trade stuff down, or white's pawn's going to fall, or they might not get that far.
Trade stuff. You mean
if they start trading pieces down or something later in the game, in the end game, the three pawns that are separated, I thought it might be a weakness. I don't know. It's a long way away.
Could be. The end game, those two connected pawns in the center for black are definitely stronger than white's split pawns, for sure. For sure. But the knights, if the knights keep their posts, then they'll probably offset that. If you took it down to straight king and pawns, then black would be for choice for sure. Ah, he took it.
Yikes.
I don't like this move.
The care meter went crazy.
Don't like this move. So what happens after? I guess it doesn't. Well, yeah. Knight takes on f6, check. Queen takes. Then the knight jumps into e4, attacking the queen. The queen has to drop back and defend the rook on h4. And then we can bring our other rook over to the g file and get a check. We can double our rooks on the g file. White should be basically winning at this point. Couldn't take h4. Yep. Does black have to give up the exchange? Does black have to take on e4? That's definitely losing. But I think both positions are losing, so I don't know.
I thought he could take the pawn and attack the queen, but is that bad?
Take the pawn?
H5 instead of that way. I thought white would play knight H5.
Yeah, but this way we're attacking the rook, and we're going to be able to swing the rooks over and take the g file. Which means we'll be able to get a rook down, attacking the king. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
We'd leave the rook on h4 doing nothing. Looking like a chump. So either rook to the g file check. What happens after rook d to g1 check? Well, I like the other way because then we could bring the queen to g2. This way, we don't threaten checkmate. Still pretty nice, though. Still pretty nice.
Yeah, the computer gives Brian 7 pawns.
It's a nice position, man. You take the g file right next to the black king. That's so uncomfortable. Like checkmates are looming. Like black's probably gonna have to shed a piece. His rook on h4 is basically not there. It doesn't exist right now. His rook on a8 is basically not there. It doesn't exist right now. All of white's pieces are better. So we just play our other rook to g1, take the g file. Is there anything better than that? Yeah, rook. So rook d to g1. Then we're going to try and get in rook to g6, and then rook to h6. Check. And black will have to go up the queen to stave off checkmate. Have to give up something. So. Ugh. He took the H pawn. He took the H pawn, Adam. So our threat is rook g6. Man, I don't have a good move for black. Trying to find something here. Rook g6, king h7. You probably play something like queen g2, tripling up, and then that would threaten rook h6 check. King has to take the rook, queen g6 check, and that's checkmate. Yeah, so rook g6 followed by queen g2 looks pretty potent. Pretty potent. I mean, I think black has to give up his queen or something. I mean, it's just... There aren't any good moves here. What, queen f7? Doesn't do anything, right? Queen f7, rook g6 anyway.
Does knight f7 do? It might add the rook to the defense. I don't know if that's enough though. Knight takes it.
You mean knight c7 or?
No, I'm sorry. Knight f6. I meant. Sorry.
Okay. Knight f6. Yeah.
Or
Knight
just
f6
something to get the knight out of the way so the rook could kind of cover g8.
The problem is knight f6. I think we play. It just accelerates our plan, right?
Oh, knight. Yeah. Trying to think of some way to get
It's a little
another
tricky though.
defender.
Knight f6. If we take the knight, queen takes. Rook g6, queen f5 check. Yeah, and then just king c1. I mean, that's starting to get questionable. So maybe we don't take. Maybe we knight f6, rook g6, and then black can maybe get in his move knight f6 to h7. Yeah, maybe black's just holding. What about knight f6? We take knight g7. Knight g7 is just losing.
You hoping to get? Oh, that doesn't work.
We just take the knight. Yeah, we just take the knight. Take the knight, queen takes, rook takes, and we're up material.
Queen and knight for 2 rooks.
Yeah. Knight f6 at least put up a little bit of a fight, I think. Knight f6, knight takes, queen takes, and maybe we play like queen d3, planning rook g6, something like that. Or maybe, yeah, planning rook g6. Now it's just, we take the knight, we just win. I mean, I guess he's thinking about if this h-pawn is worth anything. Like rook takes knight, queen takes, rook takes, king takes. Ugh. Queen g2 check. Ugh. King moves and then it's just not no. White's completely winning. Just completely winning. That h-pawn is way too slow. If the h-pawn were like h3 would be close, h2 would definitely be worth it, but yeah, he just gave up. It's just there's nothing to play for. You got nothing. Oh.
All right.
Tough.
So are you going to play the winner next?
It's possible. If you want to do it, I'll do it.
Right now, I'm sorry. There's a study.
I did it on Light Chess.
Oh, I gotcha. I'm in the wrong place.
Well, I think we were going to do on chess.com, or we do it however we want. I don't know whose screen we're capturing, so whose screen are we recapturing, Adam? Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, I need to sign in here.
All right, I made you guys contributors. If that does something, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what we needed.
Try moving a piece, anybody. All right. How much did you both prepare for one another? It was weeks of intensive preparation, I bet.
Like about 10 minutes before we started. And a little bit in between games, too.
Ethan totally shocked me in that second game with the Kings Indian.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either.
I thought for sure it'd be the QGD.
Right. Yeah. No. I have experimented with the King's Indian a little bit. Like I say recently, but like it's probably been a few months ago because I really haven't been playing a lot of chess in the last few months. But yeah, no, I've experimented with it, and I was like, well, I don't know. After the first game hurt a little bit because I felt like I had some interesting stuff going, and then I let the time get away from me.
Well, you had a Meroxy bind, didn't you?
Yeah, it was like a similar type of setup to that, and then
It was basically exactly a Meroxy bind.
yeah. So basically, like I was, I don't know. I was disappointed with that game, so I was like really trying to, I don't know. I was like, I wanted to be super aggressive and play faster, because I just let my time get away from me in the first game. And yeah, I think I went a little too far with that. But yeah, no. I looked at a couple of Brian's games where he'd played against the King's Indian, and I wasn't sure, just to see like what he played. But
well, there's like a long line of theory in the Samish you guys played. But let's talk about that game secondarily. Let's do the first game. So you guys opened up with standard opening. This is Saint something, right? With E6.
Yeah, something like that.
Saint Augustine or something.
So it gives Light the option to go into a French, but it also avoids Trompowski.
It also gives Black the option to go into a Dutch.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Do you ever play the Dutch, Brian?
Yeah,
He does. He's played against me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I play it. Sometimes I play the Nimzo setup.
Yeah.
The E6 move is kind of really flexible, but
Right.
and I knew you didn't allow the Nimzo, so I was prepared a little bit of Queen's Indian.
Yeah, I just prefer the Queen's Indian to the Nimzo, honestly. I don't know why. It's just easier for me.
So this game, you guys all played the main moves. Bishop A6. I don't know if Bishop A6 is the main move. It might be now.
I know it's a move, for sure.
Let's see. Oh, it is now. That's the main move, at least according to Lichess. Which I don't know where they get their database, so I don't. I don't know if that's just online games or. This was all main stuff. Bishop E7, Bishop G2, and then the main move here is C6.
Oh yeah.
But we varied with Bishop back, which is I guess a sideline.
Yeah, I don't know. The C6 move just seems kind of odd to me, but.
Well, it is like C6, and you're probably playing for like D5 and then knight D7, right? And it's a little slower. But
yeah, it just seems like it's kind of taking up square away from the knight, but yeah.
Well, like it's after C6 and then playing D5, knight D7. It's kind of like a weird Moran thing going on. Moran variation.
Yeah, it actually is. It's like a Moran with a bishop on A6.
Let's just look at the line real quick. This line. And we'll stop there, but to give you guys an idea of how that will go. All right, so Bishop B7, castles. Do you guys see the opening thing I have open here? Or is that just on my screen? The opening moves? No? Okay. So only I can see it. Ha ha ha.
Well, I think if you click on the little icon, it looks like a book.
I'm not going to. No, I did. That's
okay.
That's what I'm looking at.
Oh,
I would say, like, if anyone else wants to see it.
yeah.
I think they click on it.
I gotcha.
All right. And we kind of varied, I think, here with this bishop move. We're down to very few games. So what was the idea of bishop b7? What were you thinking there?
Well, I mean, I'm probably pretty happy if I do exchange the bishops if that diagonal ever opens up, which it did eventually. and also defends the rook. But of course, the bishop on b7 is also loose too, so there's lots of tactics here potentially.
Gotcha. I had wondered if you'd watched any of the Alpha Zero games.
No.
Either one of you.
A little bit. Yeah, no, not like super deeply, but I've checked them out once or twice.
I was waiting for like a pawn gambit, like white pushing d5, like some super prepared line, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, no, super prepared was not the name of my game. So,
you know, whenever I prepare, like we never play what I prepared. Like,
yeah.
I think exactly 0 times. I'll prepare something. It just doesn't happen, you know. I end up playing my preparation from like a month ago, which I barely remember, of course. So we had the bishop move. I think the preferable move is knight c3.
I was going back and forth between knight c3 and bishop c3, and I just was like, I don't know. I just like the bishop better on the long diagonal, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's the best, but
I mean, I think the main idea here, it's kind of weird because we did the g3 line, but one of the main ideas is for white to kind of push and try and take control of e4.
Yeah,
but it's with g3 and bishop g2, it's kind of far off to do.
Yeah, it feels a little bit hard to do that.
But knight c3 kind of tries to do that, and then we slide a rook over.
Yeah, black plays d5, and then e4 becomes really difficult. And the bishop on d2 is just kind of like, you know. So this might be the best sequence, but just in the game, I was just like, I don't know. To me, it made more sense practically to put the bishop on c3. If that makes sense.
The computer says, but this is probably pretty close to equal. It gives white a slight edge. All right, so bishop c3. And there are actually games that follow this by pretty strong players. They usually play bishop b2 or d at c5. Knight bd2 is played by one person on my chess. So, and black won that game. Just so you know. And that's it. No more games. Trade bishops. Then we got e4. So this is basically a Maroczy bind situation.
Yeah, I think I was expecting d5 on the last move. I think instead of queen c7. When he played queen c7, I was pretty happy because I like these Maroczy bind setups. So
yeah, I think actually in the commentary I had mentioned d5 here, or maybe I had mentioned it here after e4. It still works here, but it's better for white. Played d6 for the record, but like a d5 takes, and then like knight f5. This is pretty good for white.
Yeah.
So I was talking about it in the commentary. That's why I mentioned it, because I was like, oh, if you can play d5, you play d5.
Right.
Because I know everything when I'm doing commentary. All right, so e4. We go for our normal stuff.
Yeah, this is sort of like a Sicilian here.
No, it is. It's a Maroczy bind. Yeah. It straight up is. We just have traded light square bishops. Yeah. Like usually, white has a light square bishop on e2 and black has one on d7, something like that. Or maybe black got his to b7. Mm-hmm. Feels uncomfortable. And so, yeah, this rook move, I was wondering if you'd play rook e1 or not and try to refuse to play f3.
Oh, like, right.
I'm not going to do it. I'm better than that. Because after f3, it's like, It's that thing where white feels a little loose on the second rank.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Well, after the light square bishops came off, that was kind of my idea, was to try and just weaken white's king a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit at a time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And if I could ever provoke F3, I thought that kind of weakens white's king just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of games that play this kind of position, and they play F3. I mean, a bunch of games, but it weakens the second rank. It does. You can't argue that. I thought you would play the knight to E3. It's interesting here. The computer wants to play B4.
Yeah. So it wants to
And
play
then
B4 right away.
Yeah, B4, and then after knight A4, bishop back to A1.
Mm-hmm.
And then knight D2 to B3. And just kind of make the knight on A4 feel stupid.
Yeah.
But it's taken a lot of pieces to do that.
Right.
I thought bishop A1 was solid. This is all pretty standard.
Yeah.
H5, I was wondering about H5. I'm just not sure about H5. I've seen so many games in the I've seen two games in the Maroxy Bind setup, one by Karpov and one by Mickey Adams, where white actually attacked on the king side later in the game. And so I was like, is H5 good or bad? I couldn't tell, you know? So why'd you play it? Could you tell?
My idea is eventually, at the right time, maybe play G4 and then try and just kind of break up that king side a little bit, you know. It's sort of like also a prophylactic move. It kind of stops white from pushing those pawns. Yeah.
You're going to try to play D5, or did you say B4? What did you say?
H4.
H4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, I mean, there's not really a lot I can do on the queen side right now. I mean,
Not a lot else I can do.
I mean, most of my pieces are on pretty good squares, but I mean, I'm definitely passive because I have less space. So it's kind of like, well, if I have less space on the queen side, I'm going to try and gain a little space on the king side if I can, and maybe try to set up some tactics if possible.
Yeah, these first 20 moves felt like just a lot of, just kind of like set up and probing. Yeah, it seemed like the right time to play B4.
Might have to.
Yeah, I actually heavily criticized that move in the commentary. But, I mean, the computer doesn't necessarily hate it, so...
Knight to D7?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, not 97, B4, I'm sorry.
Oh, B4?
Yeah, I hated that move, actually. And the reason I hated that move is because the games I had seen with Karpov and Mickey Adams, that pawn, what they ended up doing is they actually eventually played something like that.
Mm.
And we just keep this from going anywhere. And then at the right time in the Karpov game, H-pawn? Yeah,
It's
killed him. So, that was Karpov's idea.
Interesting.
And he checkmated black in that game. And it was a crazy long maneuvering game. We're talking that game probably went over 100 moves. And it was a lot of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until he just checkmated black. It was crazy. All right. So, I don't know if you're familiar with that idea or not, like, just locking down the side. Like, I think Mickey did it in his game, and I think Karpov did it too. So,
I believe I've seen that Karpov game. It's just been a very long time.
Right.
So,
well, if it was lots and lots and lots of maneuvering, you probably did. Like if you fell asleep while you're trying to go through it.
No, if I remember right, it was a really cool game.
I think in that game, Black played something like H6, and then Karpov stormed with his pawns and moved his rooks over and checkmated.
Yeah, it was like classic Karpov.
Yeah, taking forever.
Right.
Seems like so White played going for the C6 square.
Yeah.
Which I think is a little double-edged.
A little bit, yeah. No, and I took a lot. If I remember right, I took a lot of time playing these moves because I was, I don't know. It felt like the first time either of us kind of upset the balance. So I was wanting to make sure that I felt confident in doing that. I just thought, should just go for it.
Mm-hmm. I thought. I thought black would take and then try and gang up on either the C file or the A file. Why is my computer not working? My computer froze. There we go. Okay. Now we're doing stuff. B5, knight E5. But Brian was content with just letting it sit. I guess you didn't feel you needed to force anything there?
Well, I was trying to stop the knight from coming to C7. In this position, it's with an exchange.
Oh, you mean, C6?
Yeah, C6, yeah. So, I felt like that was the most active way to defend C6.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe you would consider, like, bishop F8 or just rook E8. I thought maybe bishop back. It felt solid to me. And then if knight C6, you move the rook over and then swing your knight back to B8. And with the pawn still on A6, the knight doesn't feel completely solid.
Mm-hmm. Another idea, too, is since I have less space, I'm also happy to trade pieces. So probably the more pieces that come off the board, the better it is for me.
My computer's lagging. All right. Knight E5. We play back with the king. Yeah, the king does feel pretty uncomfortable on that diagonal.
Yeah, I wanted to play F4, but I didn't want queen takes E4 to be check.
Right.
So
then Brian took. I wondered if he would pass, but just to try and keep, like, I don't know if that's any good, though. Like A5, I don't know if that's any good. It probably takes. But the problem with takes is that the C pawn is no longer the C pawn. So it's no longer attacked.
Well,
right?
Now that white's moved the king, F4 is a threat again, so like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was surprised you took, because if we leave the C pawn here, then it's always being attacked. Like the rest of the game, this pawn is getting attacked,
Yeah.
So in my mind, I envisioned like this dude goes back here, this dude comes here, this dude swings over, and then after white plays the move, we just trade the knight off. And I thought that was pretty solid for black, because I don't think we give anything away, really. I mean, the knight looks pretty dangerous on C6, but after the pieces move out of the way, it's not doing anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, that was the idea I had. All right, we traded. We traded again. And now it's like, who can control the C file? Pretty much white. And here, you just play back? Oh, you played. So I thought maybe you would play knight to here.
Yeah, I think that's actually better than what I played, yeah. But at this point, I'm happy to give up a pawn. I'm just trying to get some activity.
Because if we try and kick, that has to be decent, right? And if the knight has to, it comes back here and goes this way.
Yeah, bishop's coming to C5.
That's a pass pawn.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably take black in that position.
So it's like, what does white do here? What does white do here? It feels really uncomfortable. I guess maybe we do knight C6 We just counterattack, try and block up this thing.
That makes sense.
Okay. All right. So knight came this way. Played e5. Knight g4. I thought that was a good move. Because because apparently we have to reset. Sorry. All right. In case you forgot some moves.
Yeah.
Because after we can't really take the H pawn and have it be reasonable.
Yeah.
Because it's only the white queen over here on the king side, so there is no attack here. At least not for a little bit. And then black would have time to kind of gang up on the A pawn. And if these major pieces come down the side for black, that could be a headache. So I thought that was a good move. Knight c6 here isn't necessarily forced. What's better? Maybe just directly like something like f5, just rar.
Yeah. I think when I looked at this game afterward, I think I was checking the computer analysis, and f5 was the move here. Or it was the move. f5 was better than one of these moves I played. I'm pretty sure it was right here in this position. But I think around this point is when I started to just kind of lose the thread.
Yeah, like... oh, my computer froze again. Come on! So takes can't be good. And we play here. We just trade, right? Or do we push? Probably just trade, because the knight is protected, and we just take a pawn. That looks pretty good.
Yeah. E6 is attacked twice. I mean, knight's pinned, but still.
So we might not have time to move the bishop and pin the knight. Actually, this looks like a pretty good move. Maybe we have to do like some sort of counterattack. That doesn't look right. I don't know. F5 looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Alright. So we played our fork. And then we played back.
Yeah. If I remember right, this is when I started to really get into some time pressure.
Yeah.
So I'd taken too long making decisions earlier in the game.
Seemed like Brian had a pretty good time advantage.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Wasn't it like 8 minutes or something?
It was a lot. Yeah.
And I didn't like that move. I thought maybe rook c2. Keep the rook on the c file.
Yeah, there was some reason. I thought I remembered there being some reason why I played that as opposed to. I think it was. What was I worried about? I was getting worried about some moves like. I don't know. At this point, I was thinking about like rook a3 being an idea. I don't know. I don't know why I played rook a1 as opposed to rook c2, but
yeah, I thought rook a3 was definitely an idea.
Yeah, this is looking bad.
Slide the queen over.
Had time to play with rook a1, a4, and you could kind of block up the queen side, and then take on g4, and then you're just a pawn up.
Oh, and actually, that was my idea because if I play rook c2, then if I play queen takes g4 at some point, 93 is a fork. So I was trying to keep the attack on the g4 pawn. so that I could at some point win that. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if that's really necessary though.
So it's ironic that that fork happened later, but it was a better fork.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how it goes. It's like you see the thing and then you forget the thing later in time trouble.
Right.
Now, Queen E7, you're going to have to explain that one to me. Why Queen E7 instead of Rook A3?
Well, I was threatening Queen C5, putting a pin on, just getting the queen on that diagonal.
Okay.
I forced white to defend D4.
The reason I didn't like it so much is like, we played the knight back, but say this gives white a chance to maybe play A4, and these things are all defended. I'm not too afraid of that pin. How do we defend?
The misses have to go Queen F2.
Queen F2 or maybe Queen D1. Maybe you're right, though. We just have to kind of hold everything. The problem here is, eventually this knight's going to do something. It's going to get jumpy. This is uncomfortable. I mean, black even has options of doing this. So I guess maybe A4 isn't better. It's just these pawns they're not comfortable. So we played this way, and I felt like this was giving away too much ground. It stops the check or the pin.
Yeah. I was kind of
But the queen comes in.
Yeah, Queen B4 is rough.
So black's just winning a pawn because taking on H or taking on G4 is just never really a good idea.
Yeah,
I think we fell for a tactic here.
Yeah, and then Rook takes A2 is really good.
At a time, I knew Queen B4, the Queen B4 doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh, you knew it. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like it's a pawn, and then the queen's just stuck over here doing absolutely nothing after it takes it. So
Yeah.
it's just on its own. It's not a very alluring pawn because everything's going on the queen side.
Yeah, no, Rook takes A2. This tactic is really, really nice. So
Nice shot. Absolutely.
kudos.
Nice shot, and then it's like, what do you do?
Yeah, exactly. At this point, it's like, what else even is there to do?
I mean, can you try Rook B1? Does that even begin to hold?
I know that.
So Rook B1. If Rook B1 and 93's got to be pretty strong.
Yeah, you got lots of options here.
Like Rook G2,
Try for the
King H1, Queen E4.
You say here?
Rook G2, King H1, Queen E4.
But we got a perpetual.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
That was the point of that move.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can't quite swing in and do that.
Still scary though.
It's really uncomfortable for white. Yeah. I don't know what to do about this perpetual. It's hard to keep pressing forward with it on the board. So I don't know about 93. Maybe we don't have time for that. I mean, we can obviously play the queen back, but we have to play the queen back. I'm kind of just stuck. So maybe Rook B1 was an idea, at least?
Yeah.
Okay. But after this, it's just womp.
Right.
And that's a tough way to lose. That is a tough way to lose.
Yeah, I was disappointed.
I can imagine.
To say the least.
Yeah.
But no, it was a really good tactic. So
that game I dropped a night in was just it's just harsh when you just like you play a good game at least to a point,
right?
And you just throw it all away.
Exactly. Well, because then in this particular setting, then I'm thinking, okay, I'm going into the next game with black. Off of a loss like that, that's pretty rough.
So, which position do we think was it? Because I can't remember now. Was it this B4 move we took a long time to think in, or because something must have ate up a bunch of our time?
Yeah, it was there were a couple moves there. I think B4 was one of them. I mean, I can go back and check because chess.com would have the time record. Let me look at it.
I bet it was B4 because that's like a lot of stuff to think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
And if you
honestly
just-
my biggest.
Well, if you just leave B4 at B3 and do nothing, you're playing like Karpov and you're saving time on the clock. So
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here.
See, in this position, I thought White's idea was going to play the rooks up and double the rooks and put pressure down the D file, kind of the normal idea. And then maneuver the knights around, put black to sleep, and then, wow, we make use of this H pawn, try and break over there.
Yeah.
Like play H4 and then get in that at some point.
Before only ate up about a minute. I mean, it seems like B5. It was B5. That's like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
When my time goes from 14 minutes to 9 minutes. Yeah, because I saw B4 and then I was looking at 95 and I was trying to see how exactly I was going to progress. Like, I don't know, it looked appealing, but I was trying to work everything out, and eventually I was just like, I need to go for it. Yeah.
This
So
position,
B5 is the main culprit.
this position is pretty good for White, pretty good for Black. So, I mean, White has a nice square on C6 to try and take advantage of at some point. Like maybe
Right.
we try and trade that knight off and get in there.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you make the transition from, because even B4, I don't know, is not, anything outrageous, but when you make a committal decision like B5, when you've been playing such a kind of slow maneuvering game up to that point for, 21 moves, yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know.
Well, you suddenly have to do a bunch of calculating.
Yeah,
Right.
but in a game, in a 30-minute game, 5 minutes is a lot. So
Yeah. So
Just need to play
B4.
faster.
So next time, just don't play B. Well, next time, just don't play B4.
yeah, I need to go back over that Karpov game, honestly.
He never. Well, actually, he might have played B4, but it was way late in all the moves.
Right.
I'm trying to remember. I haven't looked at it in a long time either, but but basically, B4 comes when
Right.
like you're not doing any more calculation. It's just like positionally, this is just the best move, and so you don't even have to think about it. That's the kind of chess I'm trying to play. It's really hard to do.
Right.
Where you're just like, I just know the right move.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else you guys want to say about this game? No.
Yeah, I don't think I have any more observations.
All right.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, there you go. Dramatic.
Yeah, I felt like Ethan was better most of this game, and I just kind of, you got a time pressure in the end, and I just kind of got lucky.
Well, that's how it goes when you're playing the
Yeah.
black side against the Moraxi bind. You're just waiting for white to make a mistake, and then you're like, ah!
No, yeah, exactly. Like, And I don't know, it's one of those things in a rapid game like this, like, you just got to be willing to make decisions faster than I did.
Yeah.
So
Time management.
That's my thing, is like, I don't know, in longer games, in like really slow classical games, I can kind of get away with that because I can usually I can take a lot of time, but then get a winning position.
Well, like in slower games, you can take your time, make sure you understand the position, and then it's easy to play the moves.
Yeah, exactly.
But like
here,
you don't have time for that.
Yeah, when you play a move like B5 and then you have 9 minutes to play the rest of it. I don't know.
It's hard to change speeds, when you're playing a long game and then suddenly you have to switch to a blitz pace. It's hard to adjust.
That's why it's like, if you can manage it, to try to get positions where you're just like, you've played this position. That's why there's that's why there's people who play like the Slav and only the Slav,
Yeah.
and people who play, only Queen's Gambit Declined or whatever. Like, they only play that because they can always play those positions quickly if they have to. Now, we're still going to make mistakes. You're always going to make mistakes if you don't have time to think about it, but there'll be smaller mistakes,
Right.
But that kind of chess, I mean, it's a trade-off, right? It's kind of boring if you're always playing the same thing. In my opinion, my humble opinion, it's boring. All right. I guess we could probably end this one here, and then we'll go to the next one. So it should be noted that the most popular opening move is E4 by like 200,000 games. So just so you know, E4 is the best move. My chest says so. All right. So we went into a King's Indian. So talk some more on why you chose this opening, Ethan.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've kind of started gravitating toward the King's Indian because it feels like in a lot of positions the plan is pretty straightforward, right? I mean, the positions end up becoming pretty sharp, but like the overall plan is usually like, I don't know, it makes sense. And I think that one of the things that I don't like is about, like, I don't like getting out of the opening and then not having a clear, like, plan, like having to try to figure out what I'm doing.
So you're a Bobby Fischer fan?
Well,
that's how he played. His chess was always to the point.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though. So yeah, no, I just kind of started playing this a little bit more. And yeah, in this game, I was like, I don't think I was going to play this until the first game happened, and then I was like, okay, I really want to like try to win this next game. So yeah, I kind of went through a couple of games of Brian's where he played against the King's Indian, and I was looking a little bit at the Samish variations because that seemed to be what
you played the main line to a point, and then you kind of drifted.
Yeah.
You need to play the main theoretical line right now.
Right. Yeah, no, I didn't, it wasn't any kind of extensive preparation by any means. I was just like, one of the main things I was wanting to know was if Brian typically went castled kingside or queenside in the Samish, because both of those are options, and they are very different kinds of games. So when I saw a couple of games where he castled kingside, and I was like, okay, that seems straightforward. Black can kind of proceed with the semi-standard King's Indian attack, like kingside advance. So I was like, okay, I think we can do this. So
is that your preference, Brian? You prefer to go kingside?
Well, it depends. A lot of times it depends on what Black does.
Right. Yeah.
Usually, when Black breaks with C5, you castle kingside. When they break with E5, you castle queenside. This seems usually the way it goes.
Yeah.
So this F3 move, that's anti-Grunfeld, because, again, I was expecting the Queen's Gambit decline, so I had no idea
Right.
if it was going to be a King's Indian or a Grunfeld. So sometimes I play this if I don't know if it's going to be a Grunfeld or not. Cause it's,
I was going to say, I think Knight C3 is by far the
Yeah.
move.
yeah.
And then it's normal lines that way.
Yeah, I'd seen the F3 move in a couple of the games, so I was like,
When it comes to very similar positions, right? You just don't allow the Grunfeld.
right.
Yeah, it's a different kind of a Grunfeld, and actually most strong Grunfeld players actually have a line prepared in the Zayas King's Indian because it's actually better than playing D5. I mean, D5 is still playable, it's just this is
That's the Grunfeld.
the mainline Grunfeld, yeah.
Right. Yeah, you can play the queen out and do other things, but okay, let's go back. Is there any hesitation on playing knight e2? I think the main move is bishop e3 here.
Yeah, I think it's more
I can see it is.
popular. The idea is that depending on what black does, sometimes the bishop comes to G5 instead of E3, so it's actually more flexible to wait on the bishop because, like after 92, if black plays E5 immediately, I think G5 is the main, bishop G5 is the main move.
I think one of the wiggles here is like the reason we don't necessarily want to play the knight straight away is maybe we're waiting for black to play like knight d7, and we can get into this idea.
Yeah,
And we can
that's
go that
another-
way or that way.
Yeah, that's another idea.
I think it's just one of the wiggles there.
Yeah.
I can't get rid of all the arrows. Too many arrows. Anyway.
That 92 line, it's one of those lines that has like 4 players' names on it. It's like, I think it's like Korchnoi and a couple others.
So you trust it. Knight c6, main move. Well, we're getting down here now. It's kind of hard to say main moves now, but c5. Knight c6 is a little down on the list. D3.
Yeah, I think when I was like actively studying the King's Indian more, like I was a little bit more confident going into the C5 variations, but I don't know.
See, I think this is what I was talking about, where black pursues this stuff now.
Yeah,
Instead of here, do this, and then the main move. I'll just click through the main moves here. Now we do E5, D5, and we're going to try and get into B5 at some point.
yeah.
This is all complicated. these kind of ideas, but black's trying to get in some queenside activity, actually,
Right.
which
Yeah.
doesn't feel right for a King's Indian.
Yeah, no, but there are a lot of variations where that is exactly what happens. But yeah, I just wasn't as prepared to do that. Like, I don't know. I'm not as familiar with those variations as I am.
Like A6, like if you don't know it, then A6 is probably not the first move you're going to think of.
Exactly, yeah.
And that move. So that is, players have played it. Sharp.
Yeah, the idea is to play against F5.
Well, yeah. And the idea is also to go back on your normally casting on the king side. We want to go queen side.
Right.
Completely messing Ethan up.
Messing up those 10 minutes of preparation. Man.
Ruined! 10 minutes, man. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
All right. So we have some games with 98 here, which is interesting. What did we play? We played 98. And then, I mean, we're really down to it, like 7 games with Queen D2. Just going straight at it. I'm going to stop looking at that. All right. Knight G3, and then he played F5 anyway. captures. This looked right to me. Because actually, now as white, we're going to try and attack black's king, right?
Mhm.
It's weird, though, because our pawn's on f3. Like, that's not helping in the attack.
No.
It's in the way, actually.
If the pawn wasn't on f3, yeah, this would be actually a little bit scary because you might have a queen coming to h5 or
Exactly. If this was back on f2, then that's coming out. This is coming over. This one could even come out. So it's a weird attack for white. But is it an attack or is it just a bind? It felt more like a bind. I like that move. In the commentary, I was debating with myself mostly. Bishop h4 or bishop back to d2. And bishop h4 makes sense if you can hold it. Just keep that pin there. Oh,
yeah,
my hamstrings cramping up. That just looks really uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's actually pretty annoying trying to figure out how to like break that. I mean, I guess you can go bishop f6, but then the king is, I don't know.
Well, it's like you have to calculate if knight back to f6 is any good or not.
Right.
Which it might be. It might be just fine. If white decides to double his pawns, you might not care about that.
Right.
But they also might end up attacking you, so...
Yeah, exactly. You just have to be careful.
What all did you calculate there, Brian? Bishop h4? Because I'm sure you were debating it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just seemed like the thing to do was to just kind of maintain the pressure and keep pieces on the board.
Well, yeah.
But of course, the bishop becomes kind of a target here. But
it does. That's why I think you did take a little time before you played it, if memory serves, because you kind of have to get it right, otherwise your bishop's lost.
yeah.
Alright. And so we took, and then this move, I don't like this move. Nobody likes this move. I don't like this move. It seems natural to bring the knight over, but this pawn on f3 is just the dumbest pawn ever.
Yeah.
It's in the way. It's doing nothing. You can never play f4. So I think positionally we want to play this way, even though this gives this guy more squares.
Yeah.
Just because it also gives us more squares. I don't know. Did you debate that at all, or were you just like, I want to get this knight over there, roar?
Yeah, I thought about it, but I guess I don't know, that rook on f8 was kind of scary now. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the position after f takes e4, and I'm not. My idea was to play rook f4, which is what I did even in the game. But I'm looking at this, and I'm just wondering, like, I don't know. You got like bishop g4 possibly.
Oh yeah. That's pretty uncomfortable.
That's kind of what I was. That was kind of my idea, was to attack the bishop and then play bishop g4. So I figured that's in the game.
I more or less forced. We have to leave that pawn there on f3 looking silly. I guess so. And, because we don't really want to do this. This feels like it's good for black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like black better too, I think.
Okay.
Because there's no attack now.
So we just have to live with this silly pawn on f3 being in the way, like, forever. Rook f4. Well, we end up having to trade anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we had to trade anyway...
The difference is now I don't have a place to really put my light square bishop other than d7, but like it's not, bishop g4 is not a move.
But bishop d7 is okay with c6, rook c8. I mean,
yeah, it's definitely not bad, but I think it's, if I have bishop g4, I want to play it, and so
I just remember like several times wishing this f pawn was not here. like when we were looking at the game. Just several times, like this F pawn. I hate this. It's
unfortunate.
So like here, oops, I got not that variation. here, and then if we do the same exact thing, the queen or the bishop comes to g4, right? So play something like
maybe queen b3.
Like the other way?
Yeah, so then my bishop doesn't have, like I have to work harder to get my bishop out there. I don't know.
Just do bishop e2.
Yeah,
maybe bishop e2.
Develop the last piece.
And then this one comes over here. Right, stupid arrows. But our queen is eventually going to come over here after we move the knight, and we'll have this battery.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's just so much easier to move the pieces without that pawn there.
Yeah.
It does give black some squares, for sure. And I'm pretty sure black can do a decent job defending here, so you probably just get pressure as white. I doubt there's any knockout. All right. Already it's creaking. We hate it. Yeah, we got to this position, and I thought that black was doing okay. Because it really felt like white was gearing up to just like destroy black on the king side, which happens later. But right now, it feels like black's okay. Bishop d7, king over. This pawn move, probably not best.
No, yeah, I regretted that pretty shortly after playing it.
Yeah, I was gonna play h4 the next move anyway, and
yeah, it just
almost kind of likes h4 better.
It just made the h pawn is just too weak on h5.
Yeah,
and you give away that square.
Yeah,
weak.
Yeah, this is a bad move.
So if we played something, I was thinking maybe like a6 and sort of either here or over here with the rook.
It's a lot more natural. Like that just looks visually.
It looks better. More like a Sicilian kind of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But then there's the idea of the bishop coming to b5, which could be kind of annoying. And,
actually, I think this would be no. There are some trade-offs, but it's a decent Sicilian. Mostly because of this pawn on f3.
Right.
Anyway. So h5, h4, and then we decide to attack h4 because for some reason we think we can take it, but taking it is just not good.
Yeah. There was some point in here, I was trying to play faster than the last game, but there was some point where I inevitably just did the same thing, and I took a lot of time on one move. Where was that? I'm going back to...
This is just...
Yeah, I don't know.
At this point, it's just winning for white, basically. I think white's up like, 5 pawns or something.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. There's no reason really for me not to just try to expand on the queen side, and I just kind of tried to play on the wrong side of the board. I think I just need to hold the king side. And
yeah, if we pursue this idea, what's the next move, Brian? Maybe just. Should we keep going?
Yeah, probably still playing bishop h3.
Bishop h3. Drop f3. Does it work? I don't know if it works.
Yeah, I want to trade off those light square bishops because my bishop on g2 is not a good piece, and
Even for that pawn, you don't care about the pawn.
Yeah, I mean, well, if this position opens up and Ethan's got the bishop pair, yeah, it could be really dangerous.
We're finally getting rid of the pawn you hate so much, Jared.
I should be rejoicing.
Right.
I don't know about this position for white. This feels... Those knights are kind of...
Yeah. I'd be comfortable playing this with black for sure.
Maybe we still want to play bishop h3, but we got to figure out some way to prepare it. It's kind of hard to find, like, basically white has to maneuver a bunch. So this would be pretty reasonable.
Yeah, because the more that I'm looking at it, the more, like, I realize that white's pieces are, I mean, and I don't know, white's pieces are just really kind of...
They're clunky.
Yeah, and they're all on the one side of the board. So again, it just would make sense to play on the queen side, or try to get some stuff going on the queen side and divide the attention.
We have four pieces just like, kind of
yeah.
They're all hanging out and this is what they're doing,
Just kind of repeating themselves.
Yeah. So I actually thought a possible idea, and maybe a position like this was swinging the rook over. So like, and if it was possible, and it wasn't just absolute garbage, dropping that pawn.
Yeah, wouldn't it be better to move the H rook to G1 and hold that pawn?
Actually, yeah, we probably don't care if we lose H4. You might be right. Maybe swing the other rook over. And so we can't take that. And then taking this is probably still not advisable. It's probably just a waste of time. We just keep going on this side. So we try and get this rook to a nice, healthy spot. Like, it's hard to say if B8 or C8's best. We'll say C8 for now. And then our goal is to try to get that bishop out of the way, swing the queen over, and do that. That's our goal.
Yeah. I feel like my problem... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it. Then white wants to try and move the knight out of the way and try and double up and try and attack there. It's just, with all the pieces right there, black should be fine. I think black is just fine, and black has counterplay coming. We don't even bother with taking H4 because that's not where our play is.
Right.
And that pawn is going to be there for a long time anyway, so...
I think my problem was that I was partially that I was on tilt from the last game, and I was like trying to just win this game too quickly, and I was like seeing pawns that were hanging, and I was like, cool, let's go for it, and just yeah, exactly. I think if I was looking at the position more rationally, and I don't know, I think I would have. I think this queenside idea would have just made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But I just got greedy.
Well, you don't play the Sicilian, do you?
No, I do not.
So
I kind of
those ideas wouldn't be just like, boom, I'm playing that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually very true. Because yeah, I am not a Sicilian person at all.
I've played the Sicilian. Brian plays the Sicilian. We're both thinking like A6, B5. That's just completely normal to us.
Right.
Well, it's funny, these were both D4 games, and they both had some Sicilian things in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually true.
It's weird how that works.
Yeah.
All right, so let's play this through to the death. To the pain.
Right. Just twist the knife a little bit.
I don't think we have to take the bishop. I think we can actually wait here.
Yeah.
I mean, H5 is loose, but
Well,
we need
if black doesn't take those, then I'm taking a D7. And then,
it's not great either way.
And then H5 loose, and
The bishop on f6 just kind of makes, I don't know, it's kind of surprising how much worse it is on f6 than g7. Because it just kind of blocks the flow of everything.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it's doing what the bishop on g2 was doing, like.
Right, exactly.
But I mean, you were down to, I don't know, a few minutes, so you thought maybe I'll take this h pawn and try and get away with it.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of a tendency that I have anyway. Is I'm a bit of a pawn grabber, so I like to try to do that and then get away with it. And yeah, no, this was not the position to do that because now I take this pawn and then I'm just stuck.
Well, everything clears out and your king's open.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the thing is, I actually missed the killer move here.
Right here?
Yeah, knight f5. It's hitting that rook, and it's also knight h6 winning.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean, the line I went for was forcing and still probably winning, but this was just like a knockout blow, and I missed it.
I think this will take you up. It's at least 3 pawns, if not 4.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is all forcing because all these moves are checks. Because that's just winning the rook, basically.
I don't even know what to do. Yeah. It's so bad.
And it feels like it took like 2 or 3 moves for this to happen, to go from black's probably okay to knight f5.
It was just the decision to take the h-pawn. That's all it was.
Yeah, no, which is just dumb.
And I think you could have taken it with the bishop and maybe even been okay, but rook takes was the little harder. Yeah.
It's possible. I was going to say I'm worried about h5 a little bit.
I mean, it's starting to feel like it's possible. Maybe not, though. We can just run away.
I don't know, even if it's not possible immediately, h5 is just loose.
Or maybe.
Yeah.
That has to be decent. No bailout. It's check.
Right.
So never play bishop f6.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
No, it's just the king side was a little loose, and pushing the pawn didn't help, and then allowing the trade of our pieces, like just trading and clearing lines, not a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking maybe the other rook, but this rook works. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, either way, both rooks that come with the G file.
Mm-hmm. No, at this point, no way.
Yeah, then it was just a blunder.
Oh yeah, and then knight g7.
Yeah.
I think knight f6 holds out a little longer.
Yeah.
If we play the rook in, then we can play knight h7. And if we trade,
this feels ugly.
If we trade,
Rook G6 ideas and
yeah.
Well, probably not even playing rook, maybe rook G6 first.
the knight h7. And
got like queen e3, queen h6. Queen coming in that way.
well, this right here has a pretty good threat.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty direct.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, queen e3 kind of does the same thing, but not quite to the point. Maybe black can just kind of hold on. Not really, huh? We just play here, right?
Rook G8.
Oh yeah, rook G8 just checkmate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just losing. Okay. So knight f6 didn't really help him.
Yeah, that's the thing,
really
is
help
there's
things either.
yeah, no, it's like Knight G7 is terrible, but like
There is no move.
yeah, there's not really a lot of moves that are better. Like even the ones that don't blunder pieces are just not good. And yeah, I was just like going back and forth between different options, and then just I don't know, something just didn't click, and I was like, Knight G7.
I can't even like find a move. Does the computer give anything?
Let's see.
It gives knight f6. Okay.
Plus 5.5, so you know.
I have plus 8.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, it's giving queen h7, which just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And we just step to the side. And then it's just giving desperate stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Tough. That was a tough game. I mean, once again, Black had a pretty good position. Well, Ethan had a pretty good position. And time just reared his ugly head.
Yeah. Time and tilt.
I wonder if in this position, if like trying to go for queenside stuff is ridiculous. Instead of opening the kingside. I mean, it looks pretty good for white. I mean, maybe F5 is just forced because we just have to slow it down.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem, is if you don't do anything, then just...
Or way too slow on the queen side. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like... That wasn't the normal move, right? I'm trying to figure out how we can improve to where we're not getting squashed. So the main move here is so weird is A6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense because I think this is...
It's a bid for counterplay before white's starting to push on the king side. Because F5 is a long ways off, and white's getting G4 and all that, so...
Right.
It's just so weird, A6, you know. I do know that's a move in the king's idiom, but trying to figure out when's the right time to play it.
Right.
I don't know these variations well enough.
Yeah. Well, there's some lines where instead of knight c6, black will play c5, and then
Yeah, that's the main
d6
move.
and b5 is kind of like a bingo.
Right. I've played the Benko a few times before, but I was not feeling quite that adventurous in this game.
Yeah.
The Binko, you know, I like the Binko because it's really hard to play for either side.
Yeah.
Like, it's really easy to mess up for either side to mess up. Because there comes a moment in the game where you're just both kind of just sitting there and you're making very small maneuvers.
Right.
And if you make the wrong one, your position just falls apart. So it's sharp chess.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of annoying as white to play people who play all the time because they know those positions.
Right.
And it's yeah. So I don't really like playing against the bingo.
So I should learn the Binko.
No.
Well, I'll do it.
I'm kind of surprised you don't already play the Benko, or don't already know the Benko.
Well, I mean, we did that little thing, that little tournament where we all kind of learned it, but I studied it some for that, but
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know if I'll ever play the Benoni, and those go hand in hand, Benoni and the Binko.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, white can just bail out of avoid the bingo at any time. He does not play d5 or not take the pawn.
Right. You just run away from it.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts on this game, guys?
I don't think so.
Yeah, strange game.
This was?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, that pawn on F3 is, this is like in the way. It's like all the stuff going on around it, just sitting there.
Yeah. It's just a target.
Yeah.
And it actually keeps White's pieces from getting coordinated. Because now we want, like, the bishop, we want that dude just somewhere else entirely. Clear the way for our rooks. So, is there a lesson about the preparation, Ethan? Like, maybe don't prepare, or?
Yeah, maybe just prepare more because honestly, I mean, I planned on it. Like, I planned on doing a lot more preparation for this, but a lot of other things got in the way. But normally, I like to be very well prepared, especially if I know like who I'm playing against, like ladder games, for example. Like I will go.
Do you actually get your position as you prepare, though?
Sometimes, yeah. Not every time, but there's been one or two games that I've been able to win from specifically prepared positions. I remember there's one game that I played against Marty in the closed Sicilian on the white side, and I had looked at some of his games that he'd played against it, and there's a particular.
E4.
What's that?
You played E4?
Yeah, see, that was also part of it. It's because I figured he would be preparing for D4.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, and I knew he was a Sicilian player, and I like the closed Sicilian sometimes. So there's a video that I was watching or something that had a very specific line against black in the closed Sicilian that was really interesting. And so I prepared that specifically and caught him off guard a little bit.
Oh, wow. Did you get an advantage?
Yeah, I got a little bit of an advantage for sure. Because it was a really aggressive line, so it was just kind of one of those things that I figured it'd just be hard to meet at the board, you know. So yeah, that's been a while back, but there's been like a couple of other games where I've at least gotten a. You know, I don't know. I have such a problem with my time management that I like to be very well prepared so that I can get a little bit of an advantage early on and have some cushion.
So we should all be playing like the bird. What's the B4 opening? That stupid B4. The Sokolov?
Yeah.
We should all be playing that against you. Although Roger has played it so many times, I think we're all prepared against the Sokolov now.
Yeah, exactly.
He has a shirt that says it, right? He loves playing B4 or something.
Yeah.
Are you for real? That's awesome.
He does. He does have a shirt that says that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And he absolutely does love it. I don't know how many games he's played it. Like so many. Like not blitz games, not rapid games.
Yeah.
Classical
like
games.
Yeah.
He's played Brian at least twice I know of.
Yeah.
He won the last one against me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Nice. That's why he keeps playing it, because occasionally he gets a win.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, they were good games. I guess we need to figure out what we'll do on our next adventure with chessing, but we'll do that later, I suppose.
Sure.
Okay. We're done, Adam.